Hi friends, it's Pastor Veronica here, and normally on Wednesdays at 11:30 a.m. and 6:45 p.m. I would be sharing with you a devotional. In fact, for the past several weeks, we have been taking a deeper look at the Lord's Prayer through Pastor Andy Hagen's devotional, Be Careful What You Pray For. So we are actually going to be taking a break from that for the next couple of weeks, and we're going to be exploring Advent as we prepare the way for Jesus's birth. Now, it may seem a little premature to be talking about Advent, but we really only have one more Sunday before the first Sunday of Advent. This upcoming Sunday is Christ the King Sunday, where we will end the church year, and then the following Sunday will be our first Sunday of Advent, and we'll start a new church year and a new church season preparing for Jesus's birth. So what I really want to do with you today is to give you sort of a primer or an introduction to the season of Advent and a little bit about some of those traditions and things that we have. And the reason I want to do this is because I want to make sure that we can all go on this journey together. And so I'm going to be filming our Wednesday experiences through Advent and during this preparation time for Advent from my own home. So I'll try to do a different place every week. Today we're actually in our master bedroom, which it happens to be our library and office space as well. You can see we've got a Christmas tree behind there and some Christmas decorations on the shelves, including on the shelves immediately this way over my shoulder, several of our collection of nativity scenes. So each week we'll be gathering somewhere different in my home and getting into that festive spirit. I know that so many of us are looking to find some joy this time of year because 2020 just doesn't, well, 2020 hasn't been all that great for most of us. And so we want to find joy wherever we can. So let's find joy in some of the traditions and classic things that we do in order to tell the story of Jesus' birth. So what I want to talk about a little bit is the Advent colors. So, growing up in the church that I went to, and in fact, the first church that I served as pastor, the colors that we use for Advent were actually purple, same colors as Lent. And in fact, I'm going to show you just a little purple candle as a reminder. And we're going to be talking about Advent wreaths as well. But we had purple for the Sundays in Advent. And then there was one Sunday in Advent that was pink. And then we had the Christ candle in the center, which was white. And so that is what I grew up with. And I know that for most of you, or many of you, that's what you grew up with. In fact, there are plenty of Lutheran churches that still use the purple pink combination for the Sundays and Advent. But a while ago, churches started moving to blue, particularly in Protestant churches and especially in the Lutheran church. That's the recommended color for the season of Advent. And so when that switch happened, not everybody was ready to do that, and that's okay. So if you're watching this and your church uses the purple and pink for Advent, please don't yell at your pastor. And if you're watching this and your church uses blue for Advent, please don't yell at your pastor. A lot of times those decisions aren't made by pastors, and we just kind of go with what folks are comfortable with. So just keep that in mind. And you might want to, it might be worth having a conversation with your pastor or with your church leadership about why you use the color you do or why you use a different color. So those are just some things to keep in mind as well. So the first thing that I want to talk about is that color switch. So we know that purple is the color that we also use for Lent, right? Lent is that time that we use for reflection and meditation as we are getting close to Holy Week and Easter. And purple is the color for repentance, penitence, reflection. It is a very beautiful color, but when people associate it with Christmas, we don't really think about those things at Christmas time, penitence and repentance and sort of those dark subjects. We don't really think that way. We really try to keep it a little bit lighter. And so one of the reasons for the switch to blue is actually because of the fact that it is a royal color, and we talk about Christ being the king, the newborn king, right? And royal blue, color for royalty, to help us remember Jesus's role as the King of Kings. And the other thing that it looks like is the night sky a little bit, and so we think about those very long nights during the season of Advent, as the days are getting shorter and shorter and shorter, and the nights are getting longer. And we look at the blue of the sky and how dark it is, and how the light of Christ shines in it, and leads us closer to that shining star of Bethlehem that guides us to Jesus's birth. And so I really actually the blue has grown on me over the years, and now I actually prefer blue. It's my personal preference, and I'm very grateful that the church that I serve uses blue. But I wouldn't be mad if they use something different. But that's sort of why that switch came about, is to kind of switch from being, repentant and thinking of things sort of in a darker, sort of reflective way, and to work more on that preparation. The purple helps to sort of connect Jesus's birth with Jesus's death, which there's nothing wrong with that. But the blue focuses more on the idea of Christ being king, which is why it's especially appropriate that the final Sunday of the church year before we begin Advent is, like I said earlier, Christ the King Sunday. And so it's fitting that we would have that, and then have the blue candles as we're ready to celebrate the season of Advent. So, um, blue, like I said, is a symbol of royalty. Some churches like to say that the blue is a symbol of the night sky, or the anticipation of Christ's coming. It also symbolizes water and the reminder of a new creation, and that's really beautiful to have those kind of reminders. But like I said, some churches use the purple and pink, and those have to do with sort of a reminder of the preparation and the penitence and all those connection to Jesus's his death as well as his birth. And then the pink candle is a lot of times referred to as Gaudete Sunday, or Gaudete Sunday, and that is sort of a blending of the purple and white. It's sometimes pink, and it's supposed to be all about joy because it's a very different bright color. And so I actually have a pink one right here that goes in my other set that I have. So it's really neat that we have all of these things. Each Sunday, a lot of times we'll have a theme, and that depends on the church. Some churches will have each Sunday hope, joy, faith, love. Sometimes they'll be themed around characters in the story. In the past, I've done one where we had Mary and Joseph were one Sunday, the angels were one Sunday, the shepherds were one Sunday, and then usually a fourth Sunday, I would have something else that's sort of unique to the story as well. But you may be wondering sort of where the Advent wreath comes from, and the Advent wreath is actually a really old tradition. It comes from Europe. And of course, we know that during the season of Advent, things are dark because Advent is in the wintertime, in our part of the world. Right now, this is actually summer in other places, but we know that the days are shorter. When I used to live in Washington, it got dark. It got dark out at like 4 o'clock in December, and the sun wasn't up until almost 8 in the morning. And so we had a lot of darkness. And so you try to find light wherever you can. And I think this year, especially, it's important to find that light. And so I love the tradition of the Advent wreath, bringing light, and each week you add a little bit more light to the world. And so it's been around for a really long time. Really common in German traditions, especially, which makes sense. Lutheran Church out of Germany, that it would be important to our faith as well. And so as we have the candles lit each week, there's usually scripture and song. And so one of the things that the whole purpose of doing this Advent preparation today, knowing that we've still got another Wednesday before we begin Advent, is because I want to encourage you to create in your home an Advent space and to you know, I know some of our families aren't able to come in person for worship for whatever reason. Either you don't feel comfortable being indoors, or maybe you're at really high risk for COVID, or whatever your reasons. Maybe you work on Sundays. Maybe you moved during this COVID mess and haven't been able to connect with a church community. And so you're watching us online from Minnesota or Wisconsin or California for that matter. So I want everyone to be able to have an opportunity to prepare for Christmas, to prepare for Christ's birth from home. And so, what I want you to do between now and next week is to, well, actually, it'll be 2 weeks. You'll have 2 Wednesdays to get ready, is to create an Advent wreath at home. And I know a few of our families are planning to do that as well. And so, just to show you that they can look like just about anything, I actually got this one as a gift. I get a subscription box called Consecrate, which is for female clergy. And in our first box, our Advent box, it came with this little tiny Advent wreath, which is really cool, sort of non-traditional. And it has the purple with the pink, and then the white in the center represents the Christ candle, which is the one you light for Christmas. And so I love this one because it's small and desk sized, and it's kind of unique. And I look forward to lighting this and doing my own devotion. I will probably light this one every day to have an Advent devotion during the weeks preceding Christmas, just to have my own little time to reflect on what Advent means to me and what preparing for Christ's birth means to me. So here's one example for you. And that's my little personal one that I got as a gift. And then I want to just show you a little possibility of what you could make yourself. I found these little white boxes, a nesting set of whitewashed boxes with little rope handles at the store. I found them at Walmart. And so it's just a little white tray. It's very, you can see it's very, very light. And it's made out of wood. And what you could do is you could have a real candle. You could use a little tea light candle and set it inside, although hopefully you'd have something a little bigger. You could use a larger candle. We have these are kind of leftover candles from my last church. Let's see. You could also use a battery powered candle. We have these that are remote controlled, which is kind of cheesy and very modern and technically done. But if you have a little person, a child in your house, you might want to have something like this because they can't burn themselves or melt all over the place. Or maybe you live in a rental property and you're not allowed to have open flames. Or you could also have, here's another one that's battery powered that you just flick from the bottom, and you could use this as well. So you're going to need 5 candles total. And it's kind of cool if you can have, have some sort of a theme. So like I said, we use the color blue for Advent, but you can see I also have the purple one as well. So get yourself 5 candles and put them in however you want. It is kind of nice if the Christ candle is somehow different from the rest. So you could have it be a different color, a different size, a different shape. You could lift it up on some sort of surface. It's up to you what you want. Be creative. And so get your 5 candles in here. Decorate this however you want. You could use sand and seashells and have sort of an ocean theme, or you could use pine. You could use holly. We have fresh holly out in front of our house. The berries haven't quite turned red yet this year, so they don't look quite as cool, but you could cut some fresh greens and put here. You could just use gravel. You could leave it plain and just sit candles in there inside of a base or a holder. But you're going to need 5 candles, and like I said, one of them needs to probably look a little bit different than the rest, and have some sort of tray or surface to put them in. Like I said, I use this one is kind of perfect for that, but you could also find yourself, you could just use a really nice plate if you wanted to, or a tray, whatever works for you. If all you got is a shoebox, I tell you what, Jesus is not going to care what you use as long as you remember to recognize that change in the time of year. So I want to show you what our family one looks like. We put this one together as a family just the other day, and everything we use is silk and dried. So this is our Advent wreath that we're using this year. We've got some old used candles, and we've got some plastic greenery and some little tiny pretend berries that my son picked out of the store, and some little silk poinsettias because I love poinsettias. And this is what we came up with. It's not fancy, just a little something. And we aren't quite finished yet. I think we're going to find some way to sort of prop up the candles above the little fake greenery so it doesn't catch fire. But it's just one of these wooden trays I was telling you about. And they work sort of perfectly, and I can carry it around and move it where I need it to be. And we're just leaving it in our kitchen to use when we're ready. And so that's what we have today, just to show you an example. So you have 2 weeks until our first Wednesday in Advent, and we will be having every Wednesday in Advent at 11:30 a.m. and 6:45 p.m. We will be having an abbreviated worship service right here. It'll be available on our Facebook page, on our YouTube channel, and on our website. And it'll be available we'll have all 4 Wednesdays in Advent. In fact, I'm making sure that I have those dates. So the 2nd, the 9th, the 16th, and the 23rd, we will have, we'll light our Advent wreath. And so what I want you to do is create an Advent wreath as a family, even if your Advent wreath consists of 5 battery-powered candles sitting on your kitchen table. Whatever works for you. Be as creative as you want, be as simple as you want, but have those 5 candles ready, and join me at 11:30 a.m. and 6:45 p.m. on Wednesdays as we light our Advent wreath. We sing some Advent songs, we hear some scripture, we pray together, and we prepare for Jesus's birth. So work on your Advent wreaths. I'd love to see pictures of your Advent wreaths. So if you work on one as a family, if you want to post a picture in the comments, however you're watching it, you can send it to me, pastor@cleanemmanuel.com. I think I said that right. It might be emmanuelcolleen.com. Sorry about that. Then you can also send it through our Facebook Messenger. You can send it to me via text message, and that's 443-613-2674. I would love to see the amazing creations you and your families come up with for Advent this year. It's going to be a joyful Advent. So let's take this journey together. Let's walk together. Let's light these candles. Let's bring joy and light to the world and to our families this year. And let's pray. Holy God, we are ready to make way for your Son, Jesus Christ. As this church year comes to a close and we celebrate Jesus Christ, our King, we know that the new season that comes is preparing us for his birth. We are ready for Advent, and we are ready for all the joy and light that it brings into our lives and into the lives of others. Guide us now, keep us awake, help us to watch, and be with us as we make this journey together. In your name we pray. Amen. Well, friends, that is all I have for you today. And so I look forward to having you join me for this season of Advent. We've got one more week before we get there, and I'll go over a couple of these things and give you a little bit more of a primer all about Advent to let you know how our Wednesdays in Advent are going to work, and make sure you have all those resources you need to join me on this Advent journey through the month of December. Whenever you're watching this, wherever you're watching this, remember, God loves you, and so do I. Goodbye, friends.